Okay, let's see if. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome back to the season 2017 live review. What I did was I downloaded all of the slides from the Google, and I'm going to be viewing them through the Windows photo viewer because if I do this through my Chrome, it's going to have horribly bad connection, so I can't allow that. I'll thank you guys for waiting to have the time to download these slides, and I should have did this during my first attempt when I did this back in August 25th, but I wasn't thinking at the time. But now here I am again, and we shall begin the stream. So we're about to begin. Before I begin, I would like to give you guys some rules. This is the season 2017 live review of my Roblox series. I'll be pointing out pros and cons about what I liked and what I didn't like about the episodes, and what things that I wish I could have added or improved to make the episode a lot better. So yeah, that's about it. Those are just the overall rules. Don't ask questions about these episodes because it's not a Q&A. And yeah, so before I begin, I need to make sure if everyone is here or not by checking the comments or the live chat, whatever you want to call it, because I need to make sure if I could view that as I'm going along through the stream, because I need to know who's here and who's not here. So we are about to begin in a second here. So give me a second. I'm closing that out. I don't know why I have this, but I have way too many tabs up right now, which I don't need. All right, so we have 3 people watching. Give me a second here, you guys. Need to make sure if I could see the live chat. All right, so we're about to begin. All right, hello. Okay, so let's begin. So our first episode is Happy New Year's. So I'm going to click on this. All right, here we go. Happy New Year's. All right, so this is episode 30. This episode was uploaded on January 3rd, 2017. And the plot is that SpongeBob and friends gets ready for New Year's. And for the creator fact, originally this episode was titled Farewell Bikini Bottom. So yeah, about that episode, a lot of viewers who have subscribed to me was asking that was this the final episode of the series, and I told them that it wasn't, because yes, I know that the name alone sounds like it could be the finale of the series, but it's not the finale. The reason why it was called Farewell Bikini Bottom is because that SpongeBob was going to leave Bikini Bottom, is because that his friends has been bothering him lately, and he was getting quite annoyed from it, and he was just going to flat out leave Bikini Bottom and never come back. Yes, I was working on this episode. This episode was in production, and I've decided to scrap it. Excuse me. It's because that I just didn't like the way how the episode was flowing. So I kind of scrapped the idea, and I came up with an episode idea about the characters celebrating New Year's. Thus, Happy New Year's was a thing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you the brief synopsis of this episode, of like the overall plot of what happened in each segment of the episode. So our episode starts at SpongeBob's house, where the French narrator, yes, I had the French narrator. If you guys didn't know that in the earlier episodes, I always started the episode off with a narration of the characters doing something, but I decided to scrap that entirely, is because that it gotten really annoying, and I really didn't like the fact that the narrator had to point out everything. Like in the beginning of the episode, he will say, "Our story begins at SpongeBob's house, where him and Gary are getting ready for New Year's." Because at the start of every episode in the earlier days, I always started the episode off with the narrator saying, "Our story begins," and I've started to get really annoyed from that, so I started not to say that anymore, which made my episodes a lot better. So yeah, it shows SpongeBob's house. He's getting ready for New Year's, and he was actually going to go out and get fireworks for the New Year's celebration. So he he leaves from his house, and then he decides to pay Sandy a visit. Yes, this episode has pretty much all of the main characters celebrating New Year's. So Sandy's here, and she already has her fireworks display ready. And SpongeBob asks her that if he could test fire one of her fireworks, and she says no because she isn't ready for that yet. So SpongeBob respected her opinion or request, whatever you want to call it, and he goes off to the Krusty Krab to go to work. But he realized that it was New Year's Eve, meaning that the Krusty Krab is closed, so they're not working on New Year's Eve, which kind of upset SpongeBob because he thought he was going to be working on New Year's Eve, but that's not the case. So after realizing that he's not working for New Year's Eve, he then goes to Mr. Krabs' house to see what he's doing for New Year's. And Mr. Krabs is in there saying that he's busy. So SpongeBob breaks into his house, and then he finds Mr. Krabs lying in a pile of cash. So yes, he's lying in a pile of cash, and then SpongeBob then just leaves because he had seen enough. So then he sees Patrick. Yes, Patrick's in this episode. And then Patrick has like a giant firecracker rocket thing, and he was pretty amazed from it. So it's already evening. SpongeBob still hasn't came up with anything for New Year's. So he decides to go to the bargain mart. But as he arrives, he notices that it's closed because it's New Year's Eve and they pretty much sold everything out. So, excuse me. So SpongeBob then just breaks into the bargain mart, and then he steals the last remaining of the fireworks. And then he meets all of his friends at the park where they're going to fire the fireworks. So first in line was Sandy. So Sandy was going to be the first person to fire the fireworks. And then I've decided to bring in one of the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared characters. Yes, apologies for that. The reason why I decided to bring in this character is because I wanted to do like a small crossover. Excuse me, guys. After I review this episode, I might have to mute myself and go downstairs and get some water. It's because that my throat is killing me right now, and I can't be sitting here continuing coughing. So I will have to go downstairs and get some water after I do this review. So yeah, yes, I brought in the little notebook character, the little notepad from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared 1. The reason why I brought in this character is because I don't know. I just wanted to have like a small cameo with a different crossover franchise. But it was only used for one thing. And she mentioned about the color green because Sandy asked SpongeBob and the others that what color fireworks that she wants to fire first. So they requested her to fire a green one, and that's where Paigey came out of nowhere and said that green isn't a creative color. So Sandy fired the firework, it popped, and everybody clapped and cheered from that because it's a good thing. So next in line was Squidward. Squidward fired his firework, but then it backfired on him, causing him to get blown up. So he gets blown up, he's all burnt, everyone starts laughing at him because why not? And so Squidward had to go home to wash himself, and that's where New Year's was about to arrive. So they do the famous countdown for New Year's. New Year's Day is finally here, and everybody has a wonderful New Year's, and that's how our episode ends. So yeah, overall, I actually enjoyed working on this episode. Again, my cons are that this episode was pretty short. Yeah, it was a pretty short episode. It was about 8 minutes. It was an 8-minute episode, and I could have wished that the episode was slightly longer. Oh, shoot. I am so sorry. I completely forgot to screen share this. So if you guys didn't see the image, I am so sorry. I am just now realizing that I didn't screen share it. So apologies. All right, here we go. Here we go. Guys, I am so sorry. I did not notice that it wasn't screen shared until just now. So yeah. So anyways, yeah, the pros are that an episode about New Year's is pretty good. It's actually a pretty creative episode. And again, I didn't like the fact that this episode was short. I wish I could have made it longer. But another thing that I want to point out was that I made this episode really early in the morning. It was about like 5:30 in the morning when I made this episode. And yes, I was actually inside my house when I was making this episode. So yes, it was about 5:30 in the morning when I made this episode. So that's why the episode was a lot shorter, and the voice acting really wasn't that loud. Is because that once again it was 5 o'clock in the morning. I had to be quiet because, of course. But yeah, that was Happy New Year's. So that was the first episode of season 2017. So I'm gonna have to unmute myself here because I have to go downstairs and grab some water. It's because that as I mentioned, my throat is scratchy right now, so I need to get some water. So I'll be right back. So give me a second. All right, guys, I'm back. I got some water, and now we shall continue. All right, so next episode is Squidtopia. So this is episode 31A of season 2017, uploaded on January 6, 2017. And so in this episode, SpongeBob and Squidward visits an island filled with octopus inhabitants. And this is the second shortest episode of the season. So yeah, so in this episode, with Squidward walking out of his house, he admires a beautiful morning, and until he came across with SpongeBob. So yeah, SpongeBob is here, and then he asks Squidward if he wants to hang out with him. So yeah, SpongeBob wanted to go to Goo Lagoon with Squidward, but then Squidward said he doesn't want to because he would rather do other good things like ride a bike or something. So SpongeBob begs him to go with him, and it pulls to the point where Squidward said, "You know what? Fine, I'll go with you." So they all go to Goo Lagoon, and so SpongeBob asks Squidward what do they want to do. He gave them suggestions such as building sandcastles, going on a boat trip, and yeah. So no, wait, hold up a second. It was Squidward. Yes, it was Squidward who was asking these suggestions, like what do they want to do here in Goo Lagoon, not SpongeBob. So apologies. So when Squidward mentioned a boat trip, SpongeBob automatically chose that option. So yes, they decided to go on a boat trip, where Squidward said that it was just a suggestion, but SpongeBob wanted to go on a boat trip anyways, just the fact that Squidward said it. So they find a canoe, they get on this canoe, and then so when they're about to get on the canoe, SpongeBob and Squidward began to have an argument, and SpongeBob then called Squidward a chicken, and then Squidward told SpongeBob that he wasn't a chicken, he was an octopus, and then yes, they were arguing, and then after the argument, they got on their little boat trip. So then they spotted an island out in the ocean, which we all know is Squidtopia. So they arrive in Squidtopia, they find a sign, and then they see a whole bunch of these octopus in different colors, such as pink, yellow, green, blue, brown, all these colors. And then there was another octopus who had a crown on his head, and he was the king. So he was basically the king of the whole Squidtopian island. So the Squidtopian king admires Squidward, and he likes his look. And since Squidward and SpongeBob are in Squidtopia, once you step foot in Squidtopia, you're not allowed to leave. It's because that's their rule. And if you do leave, things will not go as planned. So Squidward tells everybody that he is from Bikini Bottom. He doesn't want to live in Squidtopia. He would rather live in his tiki house where he could practice his clarinet, work at the Krusty Krab, and do whatever he wants. So this angers the Squidtopian king, and he tells one of his Squidtopian members to kidnap Squidward. So a cage came out of nowhere and trapped Squidward in, and the other Squidtopian, he had a book. He opens his book, and then a gust of wind blows SpongeBob off of the island. That's what I meant to say. It blows SpongeBob off of the island, and so SpongeBob has to save Squidward from Squidtopia before it's too late. So he arrives back at Squidtopia after and then he notices that the Squidtopians are asleep, so he tries his hardest not to wake them up. So he finds Squidward trapped in the cage, he frees him, and that triggers an alarm which wakes up the Squidtopian king, and then he proceeds to attack SpongeBob and Squidward. So SpongeBob suggests that they should flee, but Squidward suggests that they should fight back because that's what manly men do. So Squidward pulls out a pocket knife and stabs the Squidtopian king in the eye, which then causes him to freak out, and then he flies into the air, and then he just explodes into a firework. He explodes, he's dead. Squidtopia has been defeated, and Squidward has been saved. So SpongeBob and Squidward then goes home, and then Squidward tells SpongeBob this is one of the greatest days of his life. And so the episode truly ends with the Squidtopian king alive on top of Bikini Atolls, which is the island above Bikini Bottom, and that's how our episode ends. So there's a creator fact. This is the second shortest episode of the season, and it is because the first shortest is obviously Happy New Year's, since that was the first episode of the season. So my pros about this episode, what I liked about this episode was the concept of SpongeBob and Squidward visiting an island with other inhabitants. And the same con that I have with Happy New Year's is that it's short, it's really short. This episode is 9 minutes and 21 seconds. That's how long the episode is if you find it on my YouTube channel. Again, this episode could have been a lot longer if it was like 11 minutes or something. But yes, I do agree that Squidtopia could have been a lot longer and it could have been slightly better, but I did like the episode overall. So yeah. So how's everyone doing so far? Is everybody doing okay? If so, please let me know in the chat below. All right, so that's Squidtopia. So next on our list is a Krusty Party. Oop, hold up. Let's make sure this is right. All right, good. All right, so this is a Krusty Party, episode 31B, and this episode came out on January 16th, 2017. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and make this review quick because I can see the mail truck outside, and I will have to run down there and get the mail, but it's not by my house just yet. So just letting you guys know what's happening right now. So yeah, so let's hurry up and do this review quick. So the plot is SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward throws a party for Mr. Krabs, and there's an error that I made with the creator fact. I'll point out with my own creator. I'll just give out a random creator fact since this one is the same as the last one, which isn't supposed to be. This is actually the first episode where the Krusty Krab has flags. And if you guys know that the flags in the Krusty Krab in the Roblox series are based off of countries. You have the United States, the United Kingdom, you have China, Canada, and Japan. Those are the countries on the flags of the Krusty Krab. So yeah, that's a little creator fact. All right, so let's move on to the episode. All right, so the episode begins at the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob is bored. He's like lying against the grill, and we find out that he is bored, as I mentioned. So Squidward is then seen reading a magazine, and then SpongeBob pops up from the window and tells Squidward if he's bored, and he says he's not. So then Mr. Krabs shows up and tells SpongeBob and Squidward that he's going out for a picnic with his grandfather. And so he says he'll be back later this evening. And so he then leaves the Krusty Krab instead of walking out of the Krusty Krab, he flies into the air and crashes through the roof. So after Mr. Krabs leaves, SpongeBob then has an idea to throw Mr. Krabs a party because he's been such an amazing manager throughout all these years, and they want to throw a party for him. So Squidward suggested that this is a really dumb idea. I don't want to throw a party for Mr. Krabs. And SpongeBob's like, oh, come on, Squidward. Let's throw this party for Mr. Krabs. He's been such an amazing boss, and he's been supportive. So Squidward then says, okay, whatever. I'll help you throw this party for Mr. Krabs. So SpongeBob invites Patrick over, and then he gives out roles for each of the characters to do. So Patrick is out. So Patrick's role is to bake a cake for Mr. Krabs, while Squidward has to go out to the bargain mart to get decorations. So Squidward then goes out to get decorations. Patrick then tells SpongeBob that he will rather buy a cake than bake one, but SpongeBob suggests that Patrick should bake a cake by hand, so he'll know that he can be an amazing person and help out Mr. Krabs. So Patrick then goes to the kitchen, tries to bake a cake, and then we notices that Squidward has realized that the bargain mart does not have any more party decorations. So then he tells the cashier is there any more in stock. So the cashier tells Squidward that somebody has already taken this party kit, and so he gives the cashier $100 for him to go out and steal it from him so he could use it for the party, you know. So then Squidward then walks out of the bargain mart. He finds the manager's car, or the cashier's car. He steals it and drives away with it. So back at the Krusty Krab, Patrick is struggling baking this cake, and so he reads the ingredients. He bakes the cake, throws it in the oven, and then he leaves it in the oven for too long, and then the cake burns. The cake burns, and then SpongeBob freaks out. He yells at Patrick, screaming at him, then say, "You burnt the cake, you idiot! You weren't supposed to burn the cake." Patrick says, "I'm sorry." And then that's when Mr. Krabs calls and tells SpongeBob that he's about to come back to the Krusty Krab. So they have little to no time to throw this party. And so Patrick then has to rebake the cake. We then see Squidward at the suburban part of Bikini Bottom. He finds the party kit. He brings it back. Everyone sets up the party. And then Mr. Krabs comes in on time. And then Mr. Krabs is amazed from all of the gifts that he's received. And no, he didn't receive any gifts, but whatever. So everybody enjoys the party, and that's how the episode ends. So that was Krusty Party. So I'll be right back, you guys. The mail truck just arrived, and I have to go grab our mail. So I'll be right back. And once I return, I'll give you guys the pros and the cons for this episode. So I'll be right back. All right, you guys, I am back. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little short break. All right, so let's up. What I didn't like about Krusty Party was, once again, this episode was rather short. I wish I could have made it a lot longer, but what the heck, whatever. And the pros are, I love the concept of SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward throwing Mr. Krabs a great party for him being such an amazing manager. So yeah, that's all I have to say for Krusty Party. So next on our list is episode 32A, The Island Stood Still, uploaded on January 28th, 2017. And the plot is that SpongeBob must save Bikini Bottom when the Earth tilts on its axis. So yeah, and the creator fact is that this episode was made late on a Friday night. This is true. I was working on this episode was made on January 27th. It was a late Friday night when I made this episode. So once again, I had to be really quiet because I had to be very quiet when I made this episode because it was late at night, and yeah, I had to be very quiet. So yeah, I'm not going to include that anymore for these reviews because it's going to get really repetitive. So I'm going to try myself not to say that. So let's move on to the basic plot for this episode. So SpongeBob and Patrick are enjoying some tortilla chips and some drinks, out having a relaxing day, until we get an outside view of our solar system. We get a nice view of the Earth, and then the Earth begins to tilt on its axis. And so everything begins to sink underground. So this causes SpongeBob and Patrick to fall off of their chairs, and then they realize that their houses are sunk. So they don't know what the heck is going on. They go tell Sandy because she's the only smart character, and even she doesn't know. And even she doesn't know what's going on. So yeah, she doesn't know what's going on. SpongeBob and Patrick doesn't know what's going on. So SpongeBob then breaks into Sandy's tree dome to find or search for evidence to see what has Sandy done to cause the planet to tilt on its axis, causing everything to sink underground. So SpongeBob then finds Sandy's laptop just resting on her picnic tables. And then that's where Sandy and Patrick breaks in. They're mad because that SpongeBob broke into Sandy's tree dome for some reason. And so they realize inside the laptop that the Earth has tilted on its axis. And in order to reverse everything, is that SpongeBob needs to go up into outer space to tilt the Earth on its correct axis, so everything won't be sunk underground anymore. So that's why this episode is titled "The Island Stood Still," even though that this is an island, but you get the idea. So yeah, so they arrive in Goo Lagoon, where SpongeBob was going to accomplish his space mission to go up to outer space and tilt the Earth back to its normal axis, where Squidward has no reason being here, but he was invited anyways because why not? So yeah, Squidward was brought in, and he doesn't want to be part of it. So SpongeBob then proceeds to go up outer space. So as he's up in space, Sandy gives him advices of how he could possibly tilt the Earth back on his axis, and so yeah. So Squidward then leaves. He then proceeds to get some big gulp. He never comes back until later in the end of the episode. And SpongeBob tries to tie a rope around the Earth. I'm sorry, the Earth. And that didn't work. What he did was he turned into a giant monster. He turned into a gigantic beast. And then he pushes his weight against the Earth, which is the Earth around, causing everything to turn back to normal. Like all the houses are back to normal, the island is back to normal, the Bikini Atolls save the day. Squidward arrives back. He complains that the Bargain Mart didn't have a diet gulp, instead they had the diet, which he hates. And so this is where I believe is my favorite moment from the series, is where SpongeBob has planted a trap in which Squidward then pushes a button to his house, which causes his house to sink underground. So I have no clue why SpongeBob did that, but I think Squidward saw what had came to him. So yeah, that was The Island Stood Still. I love this episode. I didn't have any issues with this episode. I thought this episode was really creative. It's one of my favorites of the season, and I am so appreciative to come up with an idea such as grand as this one. So The Island Stood Still has to be one of the greatest episodes in the series, and it's a really good episode, and I highly recommend you guys see it underneath the SpongeBob Roblox series playlist. So yeah, that's the island still. Now next on our list is SpongeBob's Farm episode 32B. March. Jesus. February 17th. I am so sorry if I'm screwing up these months. I apologize. So yeah. So the plot is SpongeBob starts farming business with his friends. So yeah, that's your overall plot. And this episode has a dark ending, which I will get to later on in this review. So the episode begins with SpongeBob arriving out of his house with a wheelbarrow where he has plots. He has like plots of plants. Sorry if I am screwing this up. I apologize, but you guys have to bear with me here. So SpongeBob is arriving out of his house with a wheelbarrow full of plants. He plants them. He likes it. He calls out Squidward for him to take a look at his garden. So Squidward takes a look at his garden. He doesn't seem to enjoy it because SpongeBob has hand planted the garden instead of growing his own seeds and hand planting his own crops. So he suggests that SpongeBob should hand plant his garden from now on. So that has SpongeBob the idea for him to start his own farming business. So so SpongeBob begins to start his own farm. We then see Squidward out in the suburban part of Bikini Bottom just enjoying a nice sunny day. Then out of nowhere, which he believes that he thinks that he was dreaming about it. You may think that is a dream, but it's not actually a dream. It doesn't turn out to be a dream. So Squidward then wakes up on a farm, and then that's where he finds out that SpongeBob's reality has become true. So SpongeBob is actually a farmer, and he prefers himself as Sponge McBob because this is his farm. So yeah, so his name is Sponge McBob. And then he shows Squidward around his farm. So he finds Patrick. He shows him Patrick, where he is at the pumpkin patch, gathering pumpkins, where he's wearing this blue, it's like these blue overalls or something. And Squidward then starts complaining about his outfit. And SpongeBob then tells Squidward that you shouldn't be making fun of the clothing of SpongeBob Bob's farm, because if you make fun of the clothing, you'll get a warning. So SpongeBob tells Squidward that he shouldn't be making fun of the clothing. So Squidward then respects that. So then they meet up with Sandy. Then once again, Squidward starts complaining about Sandy's outfit, that the fact that she's not wearing any farming clothing. SpongeBob gets mad at Squidward again for no reason. I don't know why SpongeBob is getting so mad at Squidward about this, but it is what it is. And so they met up with Mr. Krabs, tractor business. He was running a tractor business, and so yeah, that's basically what Mr. Krabs was doing. And so Squidward's job was to clean up after the animals. So Squidward's job was to clean up after the animals' poop, and Squidward didn't like that job at all because I don't know why SpongeBob gave Squidward a job like that, but it is what it is. And so that's where we get a singing number. Sponge McBob had a farm. E-I-E-I-O. It's basically Old MacDonald had a farm, but Sponge McBob's had a farm. So it's basically that song. So after the singing number, we see SpongeBob and Patrick on the silo or the roof of the barn, where they were tossing sacks of grain into a silo. And so Squidward then tells SpongeBob when are they going to get paid. Like since they're helping SpongeBob run this farm, Squidward thinks that they're going to get paid from this, but SpongeBob then tells Squidward that the farm that he's running really isn't his farm. So it turns out to be that the farm was taken care or being taken over by somebody else's. So this isn't SpongeBob's farm. This is actually somebody else's farm. And that's illegal here in Bikini Bottom because you're not supposed to run somebody else's farm that is not yours. So SpongeBob's friends calls up the farmer, and then the farmer is really mad because that SpongeBob is running his own farm. So that's where the dark ending comes along. So the farmer takes SpongeBob into his house, and he freaking slaughters him. the farmer slaughters SpongeBob. He slaughters him, making this a dark ending. SpongeBob's head is mounted to a pole where the farmer is admiring it. So yes, that's your dark ending for this episode. So yeah, this episode was rather dark, and that's how it was. So yeah, moving on to the I enjoyed about this episode. What I liked about this episode was that I like the whole farming plot. I like the whole episode about SpongeBob becoming a farmer. I thought that was pretty clever. I like the ending. I like the ending that I came up with of SpongeBob being slaughtered. Originally I was gonna have the farm be attacked by a tornado, but then I kind of had that idea scrapped. So I came up with an idea of SpongeBob running somebody else's farm and himself getting slaughtered. So yeah, that's how I wanted the episode to end. So yeah, that's basically it. That's basically your whole plot right there. SpongeBob's farm. Hold on a second, you guys. I need to make sure if everything is running smooth here. So if you guys are still here, please let me know. Say I or something, because I'm checking the live chat right now and it's not doing anything. So I know you guys are watching the stream or trying to watch the stream, but it'll be a lot better if you guys will reply as I'm reviewing these episodes. So yeah, so please do your thing. And so yeah. All right, good. All right, moving on. You know what, you guys? To make this stream a little bit shorter, I'm gonna try to limit reviewing. You know what? I'll go ahead and review everything that the episode has to offer, because that will make the stream a lot longer. And I do want my streams to be a lot longer than the way they are. So I'll continue to give out the whole plot for the episode. So next we have our first mini short, which is titled Block Fort Mayhem, which is uploaded on March 31st. And in this plot, SpongeBob and Patrick competes with block towers. So this is the first mini short of the season. So give me a second here as I drink this water. All right, let's begin. So the episode begins with SpongeBob coming out with a cardboard box full of blocks in which he builds a block tower. So Patrick comes to this house and he admires SpongeBob's block tower and asks him, "Hey, SpongeBob, you have a nice tower you got there. May I please join?" SpongeBob then sees Patrick as an enemy. He tells him that, "No, you can't join my tower because you might be my enemy." Patrick then begs SpongeBob, "May I please come into your tower?" SpongeBob keeps saying no, and this made Patrick fed up. So Patrick then builds his own tower. And then he wants to blow SpongeBob's tower down so they can like have a war with each other, you know. So Patrick then blows up SpongeBob's block tower, which makes SpongeBob very disappointed. So what SpongeBob does is that he then proceeds to blow up Patrick's tower, but then he pulls out a nuke. So what Patrick tells SpongeBob that he warned that if he blows up the tower, he'll blow up the entire Bikini Bottom universe. So SpongeBob doesn't seem to care. He fires the nuke. Bikini Bottom is blown up. And then we are shown 20,000 years in the future where Patrick is a robot. So Patrick is this robot. And then he explains to SpongeBob that turning Bikini Bottom to the future wasn't a really good idea. So Patrick then uses his laser eyes, since he's a robot, to burn SpongeBob to a crisp, and that's how our mini short ends. So yeah, that's Block Fort Mayhem. That's your overall plot for the episode. So moving on to my pros and cons of what I liked about and what I didn't like about working on this episode. So what I liked about this episode, I loved the little ending where it was in the future. I thought that was pretty cool. I appreciated that others probably might have liked it or not, but it's their opinion, so I'm okay with that. And yeah, overall, this was actually a pretty decent mini short. I don't have anything bad about it. I don't have anything to say anything bad about it. I think it was pretty good as the way it was. So yeah, that was basically it. All right, so moving on to episode 33, Pat Rules, uploaded on April 3rd, visited by conflicts while trying not to break the rules. Angel and Devil Patrick makes their debut. So that's a little creator fact for you guys. So yeah, judging by the plot, SpongeBob is not SpongeBob. I'm sorry. Patrick is visited by two of his conflicts: the good side and the bad side. So Patrick comes out of his rock on a beautiful sunny morning, and then he finds Squidward enjoying a nice, delicious cake. Again, this episode was made early in the morning. Yes, it was actually made on the day that I uploaded it. It was made on an early Monday morning at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It was really early in the morning when I made this episode. So the quotes were kind of quiet. It wasn't as loud as other episodes, but that's why the dialogue was a lot quieter than usual. So Patrick asks Squidward, could he have a bite of his cake? Squidward says no. He goes inside to get some water, and Patrick is staring at Squidward's cake. And so that's where the Angel Patrick comes along. So the Angel Patrick shows up and tells Patrick, "Oh, Patrick, you shouldn't be eating Squidward's cake. You should do the right things." And then that's where the devil comes in saying, forget about the rules. Eat the cake, Patrick. Go ahead and eat it. So Patrick then listens to the devil Patrick. He eats the cake. And that's where Squidward comes back. So Squidward comes back. He finds out that his cake is missing. And then Patrick confesses that he ate it. Squidward gets pissed. And so Patrick then goes off to the park to enjoy the rest of his day. So Squidward then proceeds to stalk Patrick to see if he will break any more rules. So that's what he does. So Patrick arrives to the park to find Plankton. So Plankton's there. He has a firework, and he's planning to blow up the playground. And Patrick thought that it was kind of a bad idea, but also a really cool idea. So the devil Patrick returns once again, and then he tells Patrick, "Go ahead and blow up the playground. Break the rules. Do whatever you want." So Patrick then blows up the playground, and Patrick thought it was awesome. So Squidward shows up, and then he finds out that the playground is burnt up. And then he finds that he's hanging out with Plankton, so he realized that Plankton has confessed to Patrick to help team up to blow up the playground. And so Squidward then proceeds to call the Bikini Bottom government to have him arrested. So Patrick's like, "Oh, Squidward, please don't call the government. I can't get in trouble." And so Squidward calls the government, and then they have a meeting down there to have a word with Patrick about him breaking the rules. So they decide to call up SpongeBob to tag along, because why not? Even though he wasn't a part of this, but he showed up anyways because why not? So they're all dressed up in their best. They're all in their little tuxedos for this occasion. And so they arrive at the Congress Center where they talk with the congressman, where Patrick tells his side of the story. He told the congressman that he encountered an angel and a devil Patrick, and then the devil Patrick kept telling Patrick to break the rules, but the congressman didn't believe in him. Excuse me. So that's where the devil Patrick shows up, and then he proceeds to tell Patrick to continue breaking more rules. So Patrick gets very mad. Bolts of electricity comes out of his chest, electrocutes the devil Patrick, and then he blows up. He's dead. And so the congressman believes in Patrick and then presses all the charges. And so Patrick is he will no longer break the rules again. And then the episode ends with Patrick given a pack of it. He takes a bite, his head blows up, and then he says, I guess I'll continue to break rules again, I guess. And so yeah, that was Pat Rules. I love this episode. This episode was pretty fun. I know others might not agree with me, but I thought this episode was pretty okay. Could have been a lot better, but there were some things that I did like about it, things that I didn't like about it, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's all I got to say. That's all I definitely have here. So yeah. Moving on. Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you. The page here. I need to make sure that everyone is still here or not. So give me a second here as I refresh the page. Let's see. All right. Okay. All right. The live stream is doing pretty well. All right. So next episode, The Flood, uploaded on April 4th. So the plot for this episode is that Bikini Bottom becomes flooded when SpongeBob leaves the Krusty Krab sink running. So the creator fact that last episode to use the large SpongeBob mesh, first being used in The Island That Stood Still, episode 32. So yeah. So so in this episode, gotta make sure that the thing. All right, that's good. So the episode begins at the Krusty Krab's closing time. SpongeBob is washing dishes. Squidward tells SpongeBob to hurry up because it's closing time. So SpongeBob then tells Squidward that I'll be out in a second, Squidward. I need to finish these dishes. So Mr. Krabs comes out and tells SpongeBob that he needs to hurry up and finish the dishes. So SpongeBob is in a relief about the Krusty Krab. He forgot to turn off the sink, and that's where Bikini Bottom becomes overflooded because SpongeBob left the sink running. So the Krusty Krab gets flooded. All of Conch Street gets flooded. So yes, Bikini Bottom is now in a deep flood. So the next day arrives, and so SpongeBob finds out that his house is flooded, and he's wondering what caused the flood. So Patrick and Squidward comes out, and then they notice that their houses are flooded. So Patrick has the idea to, hey, I know, why don't I drink the flood away? And Squidward's like, Patrick, why would you drink the flood water? So Patrick pulls out a straw. He proceeds to drink his way to get rid of the flood. Then he realized that the flood water was bitter. And then this is where this is what I really liked about this episode. Love the fact that I have the characters about to get attacked by a giant tidal wave, and then Mr. Krabs comes out of nowhere on a jet ski and then grabs the other. And that was my favorite part about the episode. That's one of the pros that I want to point out. That's one of the pros that I want to point out. Oh, wait. Hold up. All right, there we go. That's one thing that I want to pull up is the fact that Mr. Krabs saved his friends from a tidal wave by riding in a jet ski. So this episode. So Mr. Krabs takes SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward to the Bikini Bottom, to the sewage unit where they will go underground or down a pipe to find out how they can. So as they're going down this pipe, they sing a song called "Inside the Pipe," which I think was a pretty okay song. So as they're singing this song, they find a dead end, which stops them from going any further. So they have to go all the way back up to the surface to tell Mr. Krabs that confesses that he's the one who causes the flood by leaving the sink running. This makes SpongeBob's friends very mad. So Mr. Krabs, Patrick, and Squidward gets angry at SpongeBob and to go back to Krusty Krab to find a way to absorb all the water to stop the flood. So SpongeBob then absorbs the water with his body, and he then sprays all the water into a swimming pool, which Mr. Krabs, Patrick, and Squidward sees. And then they all have a pool party, and that's how the flood ends. That's how our episode ends. So yeah, I've already pointed it out. The episode was let's see, what 11th episode was the overall. You know what? I don't have anything wrong with this episode. I honestly don't. This episode was okay the way it was. I didn't find anything wrong with it. So yeah, I didn't find anything wrong with it. So yeah, that's all I have to say for the flood. That's about it. All right, so next we have is episode 34. Four is, hold on a second. I got episode 34. Abandoned Snail. So yeah, Abandoned Snail is episode 4. Patrick must rescue Gary from the snail pound, and this is the Paddy Wagon's only appearance. Uploaded on April 20th. So episode is that it is snail pounding season, where a bunch of snail pounders are coming to collect snails and trap them in cages. So all snails must be set indoors, or else the snail pounders will find them. So SpongeBob hears about this and tells Patrick that Gary is no safe in his house. So Patrick agrees to let SpongeBob bring Gary to Patrick's Rock so they could stay safe from the snail pounders. You guys, give me a second. Here. Oh, there we go. Application window. All right, there we go. All right, so Bob and Patrick are playing a game of Monopoly, and so they play for about 20 minutes until they fell asleep of how tired they are from playing Monopoly. So that's where Gary then escapes, and then he escapes from Patrick's Rock, and then Nail Pounders was already outside of Patrick's Rock. So he then kidnaps Gary, throws him in his truck, and drives away. Hold up. Wait a minute.